This is the morning of Friday, and I just woke up, went inside, got coffee, and the sunrise is still 40 minutes away, so I thought I would show you guys my truck. You know, call me crazy, I do like these, the mean look. Lance, the guy next to me. I do like the mean look of these tires, you know. And this time I'm covering my license plate because I have a second one in the windshield. Okay, so don't give me any flack. And there's my truck. And here's the monster. Caterpillar 980G, formerly owned by Toromont and Lafarge. This is probably the biggest wheel loader I ever hold. Like the cab is very tall, but look at this bucket. So the bucket is the whole machine is actually, you know, not that bad in terms of how wide it is, but the bucket is 11 feet 3 inches. And okay, hold on. So I didn't have to use my flip axle because they said this machine was only quote unquote 66,000 pounds, and I was afraid I would need the room, you know, because it's pretty long, right? But it took a while, and of course you're loading yourself. Yeah, now the trailer is very low because I dropped the suspension. I disconnected from the trailer to get fuel yesterday, because now that's it. That's the life of the owner-operator, independent, because I don't have any fuel cards from the company. I got to count on my own resources. And so this is a Husky. And one thing I wanted to mention is that this is the beauty, like this is not, of course, the perfect trailer for every job, but for something like this, my drop side rail design trailer allows me to hold these big machines and still be legal height. You know, so this one is 12 feet 2 inches tall, and I'm still okay. So I can even go on the toll road, because, you know, a lot of toll highways don't allow loads that are too tall. See, the drive end is 13.6 and I'm 13.6. Well, let me show you quickly inside. So yeah, I got it from a load board. More about that in a second. Okay, hold on. Let me probably switch off the light on my smartphone. One step is missing over here, because I was wondering why is it so hard to climb, you know? And then you go inside and you see that step right over there. Okay, I think over here we need the light, secondary light from. Oh, beautiful. So, you know, it's a 2004. It's a 2004 machine. So it has a clutch, brake, throttle, right? The wheel is kind of funny. These control the bucket up, down, and curve. See over there? And those two cylinders made it. And then in the front, there's a piece of metal, like a piece of frame, right in the middle of the cylinders. If you can see, hold on, let me zoom in. You see, like this piece over there. So that's what I used to center the machine on my trailer when I was loading. And of course, I had to load myself. And this thing is, see over here, this little yellow thing. So you push it left, it goes forward. You push it the right side, it pushes backwards. And over here, you choose the gears. So, again, I never drove this machine in my life before, so you have to learn. And it took him a while to start this because it uses a 24-volt battery. And the master switch was on, so I guess it was sitting over there in the lot for quite some time because it took the guy probably like an hour to charge it, you know. And of course that's the key. And I thought that was a choke. No, that's a brake. And that's it. You start it, you release the brake, and then you use these levers over here, forward, reverse, and you have to put it in neutral first, and then over here in this little window right next to the where it says 30, that little window will say F1, forward 1, or R1, rear 2, which is the gears. So so this thing can go in any direction. It should have an automatic mode, but I didn't find it. I didn't have time. So okay. Oh, hold on. Let me just switch off my phone again. Oh, and that's the picture I posted on Facebook. Well, this thing does not pay very well, you know, but sometimes you don't care. Like in this case, I wanted to put a load on my trailer as soon as possible. And like I always say, well, in case somebody will ask me a naughty question, I could not lock the articulation because it's all rusted. Like there's an arm on the other side. It's all rusted. It looks like it's never been used in the last 10 years. Can you see this thing over here? Oh, it's too dark, okay. But anyway, so I just put extra chain. So I got, you can do that. So as long as you cancel articulation, right? So I have 2 chains over here, I have 2 in the middle, and 2 in the front. Like it cannot go anywhere. And so yeah, for this particular job, I like my trailer. I like that I'm legal, you know, just wide. Okay, I need some hot liquid, you know. I'm getting better. Oops, sorry, lights. Now stand ready for the noise because I need to raise the window. And of course, to raise the window without listening to this, it would be against some secret Mac engineer code. And somebody was joking. Hey, have you looked at Anthem? Guys, this is not a bad truck, but this is kind of like the same class as Kaufman, you know. Oh, now I can see myself. Hello. I love this camera because it has this screen that you can double check the position. So anyway, Kaufman, nice trailer, relatively, because it's cheap, right? That's the attraction. It's cheap. The paint is probably made in, I don't know, in Cleveland, Ohio. Strike that, in China. So the paint was peeling 3 months after. On my Fontaine, it started peeling 1 year later. But it still peels. With this stuff, you know, it doesn't matter. You haul heavy equipment. So Kaufman was too tall, 24 inches, but now you can get it much lower. But my design, it was too tall. Like, especially, imagine, like this machine, 12.2, and Kaufman was 2 feet. I would be over 14 feet right now. And any of you who do heavy haul, you know that that's not good. You know, like even like few inches make a big difference when you're doing you know, oversized loads. It'll be a whole bunch of miles, detours and stuff like that. So it's expensive, and they charge you money for permits, more money than when you're, you know, like now I'm 13.6, right? But I digress. So so Kaufman was too tall. It was heavy because I guess they use cheap steel. But the big advantage was it was cheap. It was affordable, and it did the job. But then I also made a mistake. I should have gone with 60-inch spacing, because I was noticing they were cutting my weights on the axles, especially on the bridge, because when you go into US, you need a bridge permit. And those guys are sticklers for a bridge formula. You know, they really don't like it when you have 54 inches spacing. And that's why I switched to this one. I have no problems with this one, with this Fontaine, because it's 60-inch and the trailer is lighter. And to come back to Mack as a truck is the same stuff as Kaufman was for me in the trailer. It's cheap. It does the job, but it's far from being perfect. But if you're on a limited budget and you want to start, I would say Mack with the Kaufman. That's your heavy haul beginner setup. You know, like I watch a lot of all these photography equipment videos, and you know, what camera shall I buy? What, you know, and they say if you are just starting out, so for heavy haulers or any trucker that want to do this, that's what I would say. If you're just starting out, get a cheap truck, get a cheap trailer, and if you're buying new, that would be my combo, you know. So, but again, now all trucks went up in price, at least over here in Canada. So I don't know if it's advantageous to buy, for example, a Mack versus different truck. But also what I discovered is that, yeah, at first there was it was just breaking in, right? But then, you know, I do have 1860 torque, and that's the minimum I would recommend to anybody for heavy haul. And my truck has that, and it started pulling, except that I noticed I still cannot eliminate that problem. When I have less than half a tank, I end up with fuel system in the morning that I have to prime. If I have 50% or more, everything is fine. So it's just somewhere small. Either my hoses in the tank are cracked from freezing in winter, because you know they say the fuel can freeze in your lines when you shut off the engine, right? If it sits for a long time, let's say it's you know, around 0 F, you know, like minus 20 or whatever, 15 Celsius, I gotta check that. But like I said, so nothing is major, no defect. So Mack and Kaufman. But then I upgraded the trailer, right? So now I have a perfect trailer. Expensive, but light, durable, much better in all respects. So now I want to get, you know, a decent truck. But I have no idea yet if I can afford it, you know, because right now I'm kind of like struggling to make enough money to pay my bills. That's my goal number one as an independent trucker. I'm not even thinking about any toys right now. I sold everything I had except the Mustang and my smartphone. I sold the camera, I sold the lens, I sold a small camera, I sold my tripod even. I had a tripod sitting in my trunk. I like use it once a year, you know. I sold basically my Kijiji list, you know, our online service here. There was like 6 or 7 items in there. So that's what you gotta do. Yeah, because on the previous job, you know, I only made enough money to pay the bills. I could never save anything. I don't know. And all these toys you see me driving, this is all, you know, I don't buy them outright. Like some people think, what, I went and I just plugged down 25 grand for the Mustang? Of course not. I give them like $100, you know, and the rest is financed. What do you guys think? Come on, wake up. This is the real world. So hopefully now it'll change. And that brings me back to why I got this load. So basically I signed up for a load board and I boycott that load link. Load link, you are bad. Because to charge people over $300 a month, that's just, you know, shameful, I think, for a load board. Why is it so much? Oh, well, we're the biggest, we're the best. Fuck you, I'm sorry to say, okay? So I signed up for a smaller load board in the States that has Canadian loads. Basically, all I need is to go across the border, right? I don't care about loads inside Ontario. Oh, by the way, I think I mentioned this, but I only registered... Yeah, I think I did. I only registered for Ontario, in Canada, and all US. So I'm going to be staying probably within like 1,000-mile radius. Because that's where the money is. I don't want to go to New Mexico or, you know, California or Texas or Alberta. Forget Quebec. Well, Quebec can be a good venue sometimes because there is a lot of factories over there, you know. But when I was with this previous guys, they never had, even though I'm pretty sure, yeah, they had the load link where all the Canadian shippers and brokers are supposed to be, but it was very difficult for me to get out of Quebec with the load, you know. I remember that. Most of the time, if I deliver in Quebec with those guys, I would go home empty 6 hours, you know. Forget that. And plus, okay, the food is great, the women are good looking, but the road suck. Very bad roads over there. And you know, everything's in French. You feel like you're on a different planet. It just makes me so happy when I'm crossing back into Ontario and I see the sign in English, "Welcome to Ontario." I'm telling you, that Quebec, they should just separate and have their own country and bring their own funny money, as far as I'm concerned. So no, I'm staying in Ontario, US, Ontario. And so the small load board, I tried the trick that somebody told me. Somebody told me that you in more control of negotiations when people call you, of course, right? So you don't call them, they call you. And so I started posting the truck on this load board as available. And I made 2 postings, Ontario to Ontario, and the other one Ontario to US, and I chose the states that I want to go to, you know, not too far, but something where it's easy for me to find a return load. Nothing. Nobody's calling. The truck was sitting there for 2 days, like, available. So I decided to take matters into my own little hands. And, well, I was looking at loads anyway, but now it was time to start making calls because everything was ready on the truck. Like, you know, my plates, inspection, you know, tires, right? I was ready to roll. I had the stickers for the border. Sorry, insurance. And the only thing that was still, and actually still is in progress, is factoring. Factoring company, they approved me, but they're still gonna send me like the last package is some paperwork I need to sign, and so they're gonna send it by email, but they want my originals back signed, you know. So they said they have a courier company account. I can use that, but I will have to find a FedEx location somewhere, probably in US. So now this is Niagara on the Lake. I'm just right next to the border in Queenston, Lewiston, just waiting for my New York permit. And what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I started calling people. No, first I started emailing, because on this load board you can put an offer for a load. Like, I was still avoiding making the calls. I'll just put the offer if it has no price, and then you see them in a separate tab, negotiations. Nobody negotiates back, you know. My prices were very reasonable. And then I tried emailing people, you know. You see the email address, you have to get to the email address by entering, you know, special codes to see the address, which is kind of stupid. Why cannot see the email address of the poster? I have to go through all these hoops, you know, to and then I send an email that I'm interested. Nobody's answering. Fine, I pick up the phone, I start calling, and this guy was with this machine was somewhere in the middle of the pack there in terms of price, but his load had a price on it, you know. And I always like that from my Landstar days, right, when on the load board all loads were priced, you know. And sometimes there was a trick at, you know, Landstar. They use this trick. They put the price on to lure people in. And let's say the load says $100,000, and you call in. You cannot get past the busy signal. Finally, you make it, and the first question the agent asks you is, "How much money do you need?" Oh, wait a second. I said your load listing said you're paying $100,000 to move this load. Oh, well, it's just an auction, you know, we're bidding, but the lower the price you offer, the better chances are that we will get this load. So that's just, you know, not good. So basically, you don't have a load. Why are you putting such a high price? But of course, I'm joking about $100,000, but I saw a load, let's say $10,000, right? And I would call in, and it turns out it's all cheating, and they're just waiting for people to call them and make an offer. So, but still, I like there's some kind of it's like a start for negotiation, right? Because sometimes you have no clue. Like, I'm still, you know, this is my first week as an independent, right? I'm still learning. Of course, one thing I learned with this previous company, as opposed to Landstar, because I think I saw more of the negotiation process here. You know, I learned how they get to the price, you know, how they build the quote. It was helpful. I did learn something during these 3 years, but people were very difficult to work with, you know. So I'm glad I'm out. And so yeah, this guy posts the load, and of course all the prices are in US dollars, and like Canadian dollar now is $1.28, and I look at the price. Yeah, it's not too good, but it's not too bad either, and I need the money, right? So I call the guy, say, hey, is this available? He says, yeah. I said, I sent you an email earlier before. He says, oh, that one goes to my boss, I'll get it in 3 days. See, that's what happens. Like, they put whoever does the posting on the load board, they put the generic email address. So it's not the guy that's in charge of this particular load, right? And that's why they don't respond. So again, phone, or if it's a cell phone, maybe a text or SMS is a better way to contact them. Because when this guy emailed me back, when he started emailing me documents to sign, I saw it was his personal email, like his first name before the handle and then his company name. Or it was before, it just said dispatch at you know. And he says that one just goes to the main office. So basically, from now on, I'm not gonna email unless I see a person's name in the address. And so yeah, we talked with the guy, and I said, "Is there any wiggle room in there?" So I managed to squeeze $100 extra out of him. And now, of course, I'm loaded. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, what have I done? Like this, all toll roads. I'm going to New Hampshire. It's all toll roads. This thing is big and heavy. I need permits. Well, I will still make some money. So, but it's a learning experience, and I need to put money in my bank ASAP. So it's all good. But next time, I'm not gonna haul for anything. Okay, that lets to be seen. But anyway, so the way it worked, the guy sent me agreement. Oh yeah, he asked me for my MC number, and I'm still trying to remember that, even though it's only 5 digits. For some reason, I remember my DOT number. You wake me at 3 in the morning, but my MC number for some reason escapes me. Maybe because in the States they said they're trying to get away from MC numbers and everybody will just have a DOT number. But all these brokers, they're always asking your MC number because, again, it's shorter, it's easier for them, right? Less ink when they write it down. So anyway, he asked me for my MC number, and I wait, and then he says, "Oh yeah, it's okay." So I guess he didn't see anything bad in there yet. Well, but you know, I just registered, right? Some people don't want to work with companies that their DOT number is less than 3 months old. But actually, wait a second. I got that number, I think, like in July. You know, July. So this whole registration thing was a nightmare. It was, and I think I look at back at my records. I started in June. I registered my company, and then I set up my business account. So it took like, I don't know, half a year, you know, by the time everything is ready. And maybe that helped as well because, like I said, they don't like people with freshly minted DOT numbers. And so the guy checked my MC number. He said, "Yeah, fine." And so he sends me an agreement, like 2-page agreement. I read through it. Okay, it's fine. Oh, and I asked him, because my factoring was not yet set up, I asked him if they offer a quick pay. And he says, "Let me talk to my boss." He talks to the boss. He says, "Yeah, we can send you a check within 2 days after delivery and charge you 5%. I said, "That sounds like a good deal, except that I don't need a check in the mail because you're sending from US to Canada. It's going to take a week, you know." So then I called the factoring company where I'm still being processed. I said, "Can you guys pre-approve this company?" So I give them the MC number. And again, they were asking for MC, not DOT number. I really should learn my MC number. And they said, "Yeah, fine, we'll buy their bills." Okay. And so the guy changed his agreement. He put the price terms 30 days, you know, not quick pay 5%. So the full amount I asked for, you know, will be, they promise to pay. And then at the bottom it says Sergei Dratchev, like the carrier is authorized to pick up this load. And then they ask me for my yeah, of course they all ask for a certificate of insurance. So I emailed my broker, and they just, you know, include their name there at the bottom. Says that there's a certificate holder, the name of this company with the address. And then once these guys have the insurance, everything is good. And then he sends me the pickup info. This was an auction, so you need a buyer number and lot number, right? Oh yeah, and once the agreement was signed, he sent me what's known as carrier confirmation, but in their case it's called dispatch sheet. It was just 2 pages. Actually, yeah, this one said Sergei Dratchev is granted authority to pick up and deliver this load at the bottom there. And I signed that one. And that one, yeah, has all the stuff they want me to do, like, you know, inspect the machine before loading, inspect before delivery, just write up an inspection sheet, you know, have my own bill of lading. And so I emailed him. I signed this dispatch sheet, emailed it back to him, and that's it. So that was done. So the agreement and the dispatch sheet, and he needed the insurance. This is it. And then I have my own permit company that I found thanks to a friend. And I started, once I waited till I pick up the machine, because, you know, sometimes the dimensions are wrong, but in this case they were dead on, because the widest thing is the bucket, and it was 11.3. And I checked the height after I was loaded, legal. And then I went to the scale, and my gross weight is 119,500 pounds, 119,500. And since I have my flip, my empty weight is 49K. So basically this machine weighs 70,000 pounds, not 66. But it's okay. So far I got, for US, I got the bridge permit. The Lewiston Bridge approved me. You know, the lady, the permit lady sent me back the confirmation. There's a little stamp there, like bridge permit application. And I see that she filled it out, and then at the bottom there's like a stamp, truck approved to cross, you know, because yeah, usually I try to cross over here in Buffalo, but there's always a headache there when you oversize, you have to wait there. And I know when you're a new carrier, you know, and I'm a new carrier, right, they might ask you for a fee to cross the bridge, and there's construction, lanes are very narrow. So this friend suggested, he says when he's oversized, he always tries to go through Queenston, Lewiston. And that's why I'm sitting at this Husky over here. Sorry, because the QW here splits. I can see the sign there in the distance. Let me show you. Okay. See, that's QW. And that's the split over there. So QW goes right towards Buffalo and Fort Erie, and over here it's 405, right, to Lewiston, USA, and that's where I'll be going. So right after I leave this truck stop, that's Husky over there, the proud Canadian flag. And yesterday I dropped the trailer because I had to go get fuel. You know, here it's $1.05 Canadian per liter. And I'm on a very, very tight budget. So I bought 400 liters, $400, basically just over $400 Canadian. And I'm getting better, but I'm still coughing, and I'm still see my voice, my throat is still sore. It's unbelievable. Like, always happens to me in the fall when you're not careful, you know, driving around in your car. So this is it. That's all I wanted to say, and maybe just a couple of words about loading. Again, I find the machine in the lot. I go through the gate, right? They give me this release ticket. And I say, where is it? The guy says, oh, where all the wheel loaders are. Okay. So I go, I find this thing, I check by the lot number. There was a big sticker on the bucket, lot number. Okay, and everything is open. I use my own key, even though they did give me a key. But some kind of a weird looking key. I think they just made it over there. This is not the real cat key, but I have to give it to the buyer in New Hampshire. And so I drop the trailer, I disconnect, and I go, of course, to try to start it. It's dead, right? So then I check the master switch. Maybe it was off. No, the master switch is on, so the battery is dead. So I waited probably like half an hour for the guy with the generator to show up. And I took that time and I put my signs on the front, on truck. I put my signs on the trailer, and I even had time to attach my the sign, the unit number on the flip axle to stand like this because it's flipped. And I found a place in the back of the trailer before I didn't see it. I only attached one sign, like unit number 306, my trailer, all in the front on the gooseneck. So now I found a space in the back. So I managed to do all this, and then the guy finally shows up with I think it was a Dodge Ram or Ford, like a very old rusted pickup truck with a generator in the back, like Honda, you know. And he hooks up to the battery, and he's there like for 40 minutes, and he tries to start, nothing happens. He says, "Oh, I need a second car." So he goes and comes back with a golf cart, golf cart, and it has a Honda 3000 in it. And so he hooks up this one, so 2. And after 10 minutes, the monster starts. You know? Well, it's still pretty warm, right? It's warm outside. It's still kind of like Indian summer. Maybe it was plus 10 Celsius, 1850 F. And I started driving it, you know. It's an articulated machine, so I just went from the space away from the trailer. I drove like maybe 100 meters, turned around, and I was coming. You see like this truck over there, like that Freightliner? So that's about probably 150 meters with those totes or whatever, those boxes over there. And so I started driving like that, like from very far, and I was using the those cylinders I showed you on the blade, just to keep it as straight as possible where my tops are, because my tops are right in the middle. And just you try to find a center point, something like a reference point on the machine, and you look at the middle of your trailer, right? And when you come from far away, the machine eventually gets into a straight line, because if you're just starting from close by, because this is stupid thing is articulating, right? It can be very difficult. And the lesson I learned through many failed attempts is that you cannot correct the position on the trailer like a car. You cannot just go back and forth. It does not work. So you have to roll off the trailer and try again. So in my case, I went on just till the rear wheels were on. And sorry, I couldn't film there because they don't like me filming. Maybe they don't like my filming skills, but they don't like people using cameras over there at the auction. If you remember, I was in trouble before, so I didn't film. And so yeah, I stopped when the rear wheels were on the trailer, and I went and checked. On one side, like the front wheels were fine, but the rear wheels, one side was off, like by this much, and it's wide, right? You want it centered. So what do? You just roll off. I put it in reverse with that little yellow thing. No, this way. Reverse, and then gear, clutch, release, and then I see that it says R, reverse 1, R1. So I rolled back, maybe not as far as the first time, but I tried again, remembering to keep it to the other side, which was short before, right? And I went in, and then I checked, everything's fine. So it just took me 2 attempts, so the second attempt was successful. So I'm proud of that for such a big machine. And also the steering was very, very sensitive. As soon as you turn the steering wheel just a little bit, the whole thing, like the middle jerks, So I had to be very delicate with the steering. And so the actual driving on was fast, so starting took a lot of time, right? And then I drove it on. The position was okay on the second attempt, but then what took a while was positioning the bucket, because it's only me again, and the bottom step on the ladder is broken. Climbing in and out, I don't know. Okay, that's not good. Come on, guys, you could have waited maybe another Oh, wait, that's, you cannot see it. I hate this picture, you know. I hate when these birds are flying away, because that means that winter is coming. Bye bye, birdies. And actually I have no idea where they're going, because that way it's southwest. So the highway goes, no, actually, wait a second, southeast. Southeast, so now they're turning towards Buffalo. Oh yeah, they're turning south. Alright, they're smart. And so yeah, I had to jump out, in and out of this machine, I don't know, maybe 10-15 times just to position the bucket properly. And I was afraid, again, there's nobody helping you, right? There's no guides. You know, they don't care. I think, like, you know, I would give somebody to help you, you know, like somebody goes in, pick up, like, you have any experience with Cat 980? No. Okay, we'll give you a guy to help you. You know, like some places they say, hey, you know, we'll give you a guy, right? So the guy just either drive it on, or at least he helps you, guiding you. Because if I had a guy on the ground, like, okay, I do all the driving, but at least if I have a pair of eyes on the ground that can tell me, you know, which way to put the bucket, it would take me like probably, I would save like at least an hour, you know, because this way I had to go forward, stop, climb out, check the position, okay, move the board under the bucket, you know, go back. And I was using this proven method, you know. I would take my let's say glove, and I would put the glove right here on the step, and then I measure, let's say 3 feet, and I put the glove 3 feet forward, and I would drive this machine, and when this glove reaches the other, I know that I moved 3 feet, you know. And as you saw, I stopped when the bucket was about probably just over 1 foot, like 30 centimeters away from my flip axle. I was really afraid to hit my flip axle, you know, with this big rusted bucket. And then again, you found the position. Now you have to wiggle the bucket, because, you know, if it's like this and you put it down, it starts straightening, you know. Even if you don't do anything, if you just push that right stick that puts it down, it, you know, you have to check it. So I'm telling you, like, that took me a freaking, like, well, not an hour, but maybe like 30 minutes for sure. Jumping in, out, curl the bucket, put it down, up, down. But finally I got it. But this thing looks big, you know. I like it. For the first load, I don't care about the money. It's just the experience and feeling proud that, you know, it's my operation right now. You know, my name on the door. I feel very good, you know. And what's funny is that my company is my own name, right? Because I cannot give them my trade name, because that's just DBA, right? They want to, what's your legal name? And I say, Sergei Dratchev. No, your company name. I say, Sergei Dratchev. You know, I don't have much imagination, so I just use my first name, or my first and last name. Oh, okay. And then they start spelling it, you know, and I'm like laughing my head off. So, a bit of a humor in there. And this is it. So this is now you up to date. What's happening with the Sergei Dratchev heavy haul. So right now, so it's Friday, 8 o'clock. I probably should go inside because my laptop died. I want to go inside. They have a restaurant in there. Hopefully they have a plug-in. And I need to call the consignee, the lady in New Hampshire, because I need to know who the customs broker is, because I talked to the dispatcher at this you know, freight broker. I said, well, I emailed him. I said, do you know who the customs broker is by any chance? Because of course I didn't get any paperwork from the auction. Like, I need the customs invoice where I can stick my sticker on, right? And he says, oh, talk to the lady in New Hampshire. So that's what I gotta do now. Maybe I'll just wait a little bit more if the office opens at 9 or something, because there's no rush. I still don't have my New York permit. I cannot go to the border. But that's basically 2 things I need to start moving. No, 3 things I need to start moving is I need the customs invoice. I need to know, well, more than 3. I need the customs invoice, copy of that on my computer. I need to know who the customs broker is, and then I'll slip my sticker on and I send it to the customs broker, and then I have to go to Border Connect and set up my ACE, e-manifest, and for that one I need all these addresses, VIN numbers, but my profile is in there, my truck trailer, so it should not be easy. But this will be my first time using Border Connect for a real life situation, and so then I will get notification that they also got the email from the the broker. That's where they connect, right? My manifest that I do myself, and something that the customs broker does behind the scenes. When these two streams, so to speak, connect, two streams of information, that's when the Customs Border Protection lets you cross, right? When everything is set up on the system, both from the driver end, from the carrier end, and from the broker end. So I need that. And of course, last but not least, I cannot go unless I have my New York permit at least. So I have the bridge permit. I can actually cross the bridge, but on the other end, it's New York, right? So I need to know my routing. And there's only, 3 states, right? There's New York, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire. And unfortunately, there's a bunch of tolls, but the roads are so bad over there, like in terms of terrain, is that if you don't use a toll road, I'm almost 120,000 pounds gross. I would just burn too much fuel going on those hills, like I-88 over there. It's crazy. And I talked to the permit lady, and she says, well, it's going to be extra $100. I said, well, but I will burn the same in fuel if I go on the regular roads. And she said, because I'm heavy, they're going to be, even if I'm granted, like I-90 a permit, well, I hope I will, because I'm legal height. That's all they look for. But she says there's a couple of spots in there where I still have to go on the state road because of the weight. So I still need 2 permits. I still need a toll freeway permit from I-90, and I need a New York state permit because of that. Otherwise, I could have saved money. If I could stay on I-90 all the way, then you just need 1 permit. So the more permits, the more money comes off the top. And of course, the way it works, I gave the permit lady my credit card, so everything is charged to me now. That's the responsibility. So I should have funds on my credit card to pay for the permits. So it's the cost of the permit plus her fee. Well, at least it's pretty low. That's why I chose this permit company. It's much cheaper than something I found in the States, like Permit America or Comdata. So anyway, let me go inside and get some more coffee and finish this video. So this is the second day with my first load. Thanks for watching.